Okay, and welcome back. This is Thorn with the Game Design Lexicon. We are currently playing Caves of Qud. That was, Prozac. Wild Thing. I remember that band from the mid to early 2000s. I don't know why I decided to play it today. I think I just had it on the list of stuff. I'm getting surrounded again, and probably be a good idea if I went back up the stairs. Well, let's wait and see if somebody pops up or if I can just rest it away. Nope. So, yeah, one of the things I think that started me on it, because like I said, my parents really didn't raise me religiously at all. So that would be pretty much the number one reason as to why I didn't end up religious. However, with me, I have autism and ADHD, so it always did kind of... I was raised in the Bible Belt, so I always wondered about all sorts of stuff. So when I grew up in the 70s, and we had a TV show called In Search Of that my parents used to love to watch. It's a really awesome show. It had Leonard Nimoy who hosted it, and it was essentially talking about all sorts of, like, weird things that people believed in, UFOs and Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and stuff like that. And that kind of set me down the path of, in my late teens to early 20s, I just started kind of, I had a question on my mind. What is objective reality, what is real, what is not? How do you know what's real and how do you know what's not, How are you going to be as sure of something is like, will the sun rise tomorrow? Will gravity keep you on the planet and stuff like that? And, when you present reasonable arguments like, will the sun rise tomorrow? I mean, that's an easy one. You pretty much know it has every day of your life, and that it will continue to do so because it has for everyone else in this world, or at least, you can at least be 99.9% sure, right? So with me, when you say that you're a theist, it means you subscribe to some form of religion. That means you look at religion and you say, well, something in it is right. If you're an atheist, well, you don't. You just don't. You look at religion and say, well, it's not really for me, so you don't subscribe to it. I mean, I guess the old saying is there's not a word for somebody who doesn't collect stamps. Just, he's not a stamp collector, right? It's weird that we'd have a word for somebody who didn't, who didn't, ascribe to religion. But, here we are. And as far as agnostic's always kind of a weird one for me, in that I always kind of look at it as just people who don't want to say that they're, not Christians or not this and not that, and they just kind of want to remain on the fence. The way I view it is, well, chances are, if you say you're agnostic, chances are you're an atheist. You're just a little less willing to commit. And while, I firmly believe that it's impossible for me to, like, say that there isn't something that could be construed as like a god or a creator of our universe or whatever you want to, a higher, thing that we don't know of. But to me, I've done at least enough. I love researching religion and history of religion and mysticism and all sorts of stuff like that. It's one of my favorite things to read about. So I know a ton about religion and Hermeticism and mysticism and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I can at least be, like I said, 99.999% sure of is that I don't think that any religion that we have on Earth is correct. Just straight up. I'm as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow that no version of religion that we've come up with is correct. And thanks for the welcome back, Rabbit. I am... grew up with Reddit. Atheists. Yeah, no, I was kind of like that too. I remember the atheist community, and how that got really strong for a while, but I no longer really deal with that as much because a lot of it's kind of splintered off into directions that I don't really care for. A lot of the people in those communities that I used to look up to have turned out to be really strange individuals that I don't agree with anymore, even though we still share the same views on religion. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say worshiping science as their god. I mean, the way that I look at science versus religion is science gives me things. It gives me radio signals and TV and healthcare and all sorts of wonderful things that aid my life. And honestly, if religion were to give me as much as science did, I'd be more apt to believe in it, right? Let's see. South Park episode. Yeah, I mean, and agnosticism in itself, I mean, it's a silly term. And I honestly believe that the way the term agnosticism started was it was one of the first acceptable stances. I mean, because you got to remember that, especially in Christianity, the biggest sin that you can commit is denying, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. If you deny the divinity of Jesus Christ, you're damning yourself to hell irredeemably, right? So what I think is I think people came up with agnosticism to kind of circumvent that, because a religious person, a Christian, especially somebody who is zealous in their Christianity, is less likely to look at you disfavorably if you say that you're agnostic and unsure, rather than if you're an atheist, right? No, I don't think religion's really ever given me anything. I mean, the only thing that I could imagine that religion would give me, if I was in it, is maybe a sense of community, which I can get without religion. I mean, you could even join a Universalist church, which is essentially church without God in it, and get all the same things that religion would give you without actually having to pay lip service to God. I don't. Yeah, no. It's kind of hard to be anti-science when science pretty much. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that science is like an ultimate authority, because it's not. It's basically a way of confirming objective reality, right? That's all science is. It's a way of confirming the way reality is. And it doesn't mean that science can't be wrong, because it is. It's wrong all the time, but the difference is when it's right, it gives us things that are tangible. It gives us predictability on the way that the world works. It gives us, like I said, health benefits, technology, all sorts of stuff. So, god damn, there's all sorts of nasty stuff down here. And it just keeps on, like, weeding its way out. Oh, wow. I just one-shotted that guy. Okay. Oh, god damn it. I hate these plants, dude. Yeah, Oh, no, yeah, sarcasm, yeah. I can get sarcasm as long as I know it's there, right? As long as I know that that's where it's coming at. I mean, sarcasm's just bad online, right? It's kind of hard to determine tonality online, right? Well, I mean, again, I think I pretty much described that, how I'd feel about it. It's one of those things that as it comes to a higher power, I wouldn't know, I wouldn't know if that existed. But what I can dismiss outright is anything that humans have invented. I don't think that any human being has ever had a divine vision. I think that if there is a holy power, then anything that humans have come up with as being a descriptor for is them bringing hubris to the table. I don't really think that anything that a human has come up with is divine influenced. I don't think that if there was a higher power, that would be the way that they would work. Not to mention, I mean, there's just too much evidence against it, really. When you look at religion and the fact that religion is typically determined by, you know, where you grew up and you know, what your parents' religion were. It's very regional, and religion seems to custom tailor itself to cultures. So the idea that that what we are spouting off as religion is the truth is dubious to me. But again, I couldn't say that, you know, there. And again, you know, it's just like, to me, what does it really matter if there's a supreme being? I don't really think it affects my life one way or the other. Oh no, yeah, no, I understand. That's okay. I mean, you can try and convert me, but I don't think it's gonna work. I'm too spoiled. I've spoiled myself on all this stuff. I've spent too much time basically researching the way us humans come up with stuff like that. Yeah, I do the same thing. Praise Buddha is one of my favorite ones. So, or just refer to them as the gods. You know, just all at once. So, since obviously that we can't decide on a well, it depends. It depends on what sect of Buddhism. See, the worst part about, and this is one of my biggest complaints about religion, and how that I know that there is no divinely inspired religion, is because Buddhism alone has hundreds of sects, right? And there are some sects that do worship the Buddha as being divine, so it's certainly not an atheistic religion. Though, if you do worship Buddha as preached by the Buddha, by Siddhartha, then yeah, it's not a theistic philosophy, just like Taoism is not. Same type of philosophy, you know. But there are a lot of people, again, who believe Buddha was divine, and when you start doing that, then it becomes a theistic religion. I believe so too. And I believe that when you decide to rule your life based on a religion or something like it, that you should really know everything about it and not take one person's word for it. Find the people who study it. Find the people who are authorities on it and know everything that you can about it before you decide to let it guide your life. ID poll? What's ID poll? I don't know what that is. Give me an explanation, please. Oh, identity politics. I don't know what to think of that. I guess you explaining it that way didn't really help any. I mean, I hate politics in general, but you know, it's like necessary evil kind of thing. Like anytime you have two classes in societies clashing, you know, you're gonna have politics, right? Left-wing racism? Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I see where you're coming from with it anyway. Yeah, no, there seems to be a lot of that. Like, it's just weird, you know, like with me, I tend to think of the people who do that sort of thing less progressive. Because when you say left-wing, you're talking progressive, and I don't really think if you're truly progressive, then, I mean, while you can be racist, I think it's one of those things that you kind of avoid. Core progressive tenet? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Wow, those two are going at it. Gorilla and a... Weird. Yeah, I don't really think of it that way. The way I think of it is that there are groups of people who are oppressed by social structures in this world, and that is an objective fact, that is objective reality, and that shouldn't be, and that's my idea of a progressive attitude. People should not be classified and treated lesser than by that classification, you know? So, with me, I mean, and that's identity, too. I don't really think those classifications have any place in the world. Things like, you know, things like our patriarchal system or our white supremacist system that we have here in the United States. I don't think those things should exist, because they're all just created social structures. So that's in my opinion, that's what progressive would mean, is somebody who looks at a damaging social structure like that, especially that one that we created to be divisive like that, and would like to get rid of it. Again, things like the patriarchy, things like white supremacy. You know, these are social systems that we created to denigrate other people, to make other people seem less than. So, I mean, I don't believe in preserving those social structures, and we do have a lot of, like here in the United States, I mean, we have, essentially a very centrist political party that that saunters around and pretends to be left-wing when they're not really. Conservative by modern progressive standards. Yeah, I don't really view it like that, man. I actually view myself so far left as to not be on the scale anymore, really. Like I said, here in the United States, we don't have left-wing politics here. We've pretty much killed progressive politics after you know, after the anti-labor movements of the 30s and 40s. I mean, along with things like McCarthyism and all the other like anti-labor movements that we've done in this country. Yeah, I don't being that I know now, I'm not saying that that the far right, I mean that the far left can't be as bad as the far left. You know, you're talking about a scale of authoritarianism versus liberalism. With me, I don't really believe in authoritarianism. It's why I'm a anarcho-syndicalist, because I believe in the opposite of authoritarianism, which again is liberalism, right? So being more liberal than authoritarian. You're not. I just don't get to talk to people very often about this sort of stuff. So it takes a little for me to formulate my views on it. And not to mention, on top of that, I do have kind of like a phobia against far right-wing and racist people. Specifically people who are openly racist or even covertly racist. I had to deal with a my mom was a Tea Party member. So I don't know if you would know what the Tea Party was here in the United States, but it was essentially a racist dog whistling party that was a anti-black reaction to our first black president, right? No, I don't mind. I don't mind. Talk about whatever you want, man. Seriously, seriously. If I feel uncomfortable, I will. I have no problem in saying I feel uncomfortable. So you'll definitely get me wanting to stop talking if it comes to something that I have an issue with. Like I said, racism for one. Anybody who kicks down. If I feel like you're kicking down on another group of people who are marginalized, then I will have a huge problem with it. Again, I was raised in a family where racism was very veiled and dog whistled, so I can't deal with that sort of stuff. But yeah, kicking down is a big one for me. And you know, I firmly believe that the financial system that we have, the financial social system, capitalism mainly, especially here in the United States, is used to promote, you know, white supremacy and patriarchy. So, weird obsessions. No, I again, I don't mind, man. I don't really get an opportunity to talk about this stuff much because I'm extremely antisocial. So I just got out of a really bad relationship not too long ago. I was in a relationship with somebody for nearly 20 years, and at the very end of it, it got really weird. In that I kind of found that this person was kind of abusive. And even worse, when I was starting to have, I was just starting to finally deal with, you know, my mom and the fact that the stuff that she said, the stuff that because she was like really, really deep steeped in like Fox News propaganda and the whole like right-wing Facebook rabbit hole and all that kind of stuff. So I couldn't even talk to her for more than a few minutes without her giving me a panic attack. And I was just starting to try and deal with that. And at that time, I found out that my partner of 20 years was starting to come out as somebody who wanted to marginalize a group of people that she didn't agree with. And so I had a very visceral reaction at the end of that. And because of that, I've been antisocial for like the past 5 years. I just don't go out. I don't talk to people. The most I do is stream. So, sorry, reading that last comment of yours. To explain the modern progressives in a bit more detail, typically they engage in racial and sexual discrimination. Huh. I don't really see that as part of modern left-wing politics, really. Again, the centrist party that we have in here, what everybody calls our left wing, does it, but they just do it in a more subtle way, I guess you could say. They're not as you know, quiet part out loud as our right wing is. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't really think. Yeah, you know, I wonder about that, but honestly, it's kind of one of those things that it's really hard to sympathize for somebody who thinks that white people or white males are being marginalized these days, you know? Because in a lot of cases, it's less those class of people, you know, white males being marginalized as it is them losing their cushy position, you know? Yeah, that's That's a Dawkins saying, isn't it? An atheist is just a religious person who goes one god more, I believe. Richard Dawkins is a prick, by the way. Yeah, I can't stand Richard Dawkins anymore. I think he's a horrible person. He's a bigot. He is a white supremacist, and he's also a supporter of the patriarchy. He's a horrible fucking person. Welcome, X-Band, by the way. I didn't know you were up this late, but welcome. X-Band is a rabbit in the glasses. X-Band is one of the other people that hangs out on my channel who shares a lot of the same viewpoints as I do. He has the socialist thing going, and is always complaining about the same stuff I am, really. So usually when he says something, I kind of agree with it, Yeah, no, Rabbit, I agree that it is the upper class, that is the rich versus the poor. It's a very white supremacist situation, white patriarchal situation. So while I don't really want to be marginalizing white people, I don't really think that anybody's denying white people anything other than, the privilege that they've gotten used to. So I need to go figure out how I can chop my face off. I think I'm going to go do that real quick. Oh, there's hostiles nearby? What the hell? Where? Oh, there we go. So let's go see if I can learn how to chop my face off. I'm probably going to get lost on the way there. Oh, I noticed some runes nearby. Yeah, and with me, the religion thing is kind of on the same note as like, so I started off when I was in my late teens and early 20s. I started off with wondering about objective reality, right? And it started off with very innocent things like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. There are a lot of people in this world who think that there is a Bigfoot, and there are a lot of people in this world who think that the world is flat, and there's a lot of people in this world who think that the Loch Ness Monster exists. How do you look at them with enough certainty to go, well, yeah, no, that's not true? In other words, how do you figure out objective reality, right? And I've spent a lot of time trying to learn about objective reality and how you can, oh shit, I hate these guys. Slug snouts. So, so I spent a lot of time learning how you can actually look at something like Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster, and to be honest, when it comes to things like religion, it's the same thing. It's a thing that you have to believe in on faith because the evidence really just doesn't support it, right? In other words, you can't really apply a form of objective reality to it to come up with a positive answer as to whether or not something like that exists. And come up with it actually being a positive. For example, the Loch Ness Monster is a good example. You already know that, first off, if there's a dinosaur sitting in Loch Ness, there wouldn't be enough of an ecosystem to support it. Just straight up. Not to mention, on top of that, it would have to be magical, and in which case, then, it defies nature, and it's not really something that can be explained anyway. It would leave poop. It would leave bones. It would leave all sorts of stuff that every other animal on this earth we know leaves, So, well, I'm not blaming it on white people. I'm just saying, well, yeah, I was about to say, I'm not necessarily blaming it on white people. I'm blaming it on the systems that they invented to make other people seem inferior to them. So, this is something that white people have objectively done. I mean, I'm not blaming anything on them that they haven't done and that they don't need to correct. You know, race was invented as a form of, colonization. It was invented to make white people rise above the people who they wanted to go off to their culture and rob them of their and extract their resources, whether it was labor or riches from their lands. I mean, it was their justification to be able to go into Africa and India and all around the world and pretty much steal their resources because they basically put themselves on a pedestal above the rest of them, and that's less of an accusation as it is just the truth, you know. Anyway, going to take another short break here. Some more. We got Prozac here. Stretch my bones, and I will be right back with more. This is wonderful talk. No, I don't mind this at all. This is good stuff. Good stuff.